What's happening, CSTers? Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, presented by Fulcrum Fives. I'm Nick Superling, pleased to be with you here this Monday evening. The TQL Stadium opener has come and gone. FC Cincinnati falling over the weekend to Inter Miami CF 3-2. So we're going to touch on that match a little bit later on here in this show. And, of course, we had some folks tonight on CST that were there in person at TQL Stadium. And so it'll be really interesting to get their thoughts on what happened this weekend in the stadium, their first time being there, and even the pre-match festivities with the different supporters groups. So it's going to be cool to get a recap of that. And then a little bit later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Mark Zeman from Fulcrum Fives. He's the owner of that new five-a-side indoor facility there in Blue Ash, to learn a little bit more about what exactly five-a-side is. So we'll be joined by him a little bit later on in the show. Of course, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, we appreciate you tuning in live tonight. If you're listening to us after the fact and want to leave us some feedback, hit us up, feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. You can also email us, feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Before I introduce my cast of characters for this week, as a reminder, this episode is brought to you by Fulcrum Fives, five-a-side soccer, adult youth five-a-side soccer complex there in Blue Ash, 11510 Grooms Road in Blue Ash, to be in fact. They've got five-a-side indoor soccer. It's a facility offering leagues, pickup games, and rentals for team trainings. Fulcrum Fives is a uniquely crafted facility, providing both high-quality soccer and a welcoming environment. Whether you are an experienced player, beginner, or spectator, Fulcrum Fives helps bolster your passion for the beautiful game and provides access to a soccer-loving community. Fulcrum's field surface was created in Italy from a FIFA-accredited turf manufacturer, featuring non-infill turf, so no more rubber pellets. And it's designed specifically for high-quality 5-on-5 play. Adult leagues are launching coming up here in just a few weeks in June, and Cincinnati Soccer Talk listeners get 10% off your first league fee with discount code SoccerTalk. Sign up on their website over at fulcrumfives.com, or make sure you email Mark at soccer@fulcrumfives.com to join, and follow them on Instagram and Facebook as well at Fulcrum Fives. And again, we thank them for their support of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. All right, let's welcome into the show this week. I start with Brad Weigel. Brad, how are you, sir?
Good, man. It was a great little weekend, but with Fulcrum Fives, I heard high quality product. I guess that rules me out.
What?
So should I just dip now or later?
No. We expect nothing but quality from you tonight, sir.
No, man. It was a really cool weekend. It was good. I think my favorite part was just to be around everybody, and just seeing all the friends and faces I haven't seen for 18 months. And soccer team aside, we can talk about that later. And Brad Goff can tell me why I'm wrong, and I'm looking forward to that. But it was a good weekend as a whole.
Glad to have you back on the show, Brad. That's the perfect segue right into Coach Brad Goff, co-host, or I shouldn't say co-host, the host of Talking Tactics with Coach Goff. Coach, welcome back to CST, the Monday night show, the big time.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's big time for me, but I was not aware that we made this show 3 hours long if I'm supposed to be telling Brad all the ways that he's wrong.
You see the level of respect he's got for you, Coach. He calls you the host of Talking Tactics. He doesn't even mention March to Match Day.
I hear Clay got that job anyway.
I know. I guess I rolled out. Man, I should just retire now.
I just didn't get to it yet, Brad. I will.
Gotta keep you honest, man. You're throwing us all off. We're looking at you straight, like face to face, not even that normal angle for our audio podcast listeners. He's changing it all up. We're a little flustered.
Sorry. Yes. For those of you who are watching, we're in the process of moving. So we're doing it bare bones right now here in the studio. Just as much as I can have up that the photographer and the the inspection can get through this week. So you'll have to bear with my face-to-face just for a couple of weeks here. Let's welcome into the show the Wolfman. Saw him a few times this weekend on TV drumming away. Bill, welcome back.
Yeah, boy, that felt great. I've been kind of warming up a little bit and getting ready for this, and it's just never the same as just being there and having 1,000 people around you and all singing and making noise, and it was just a phenomenal feeling. And I didn't barely sing at all because I focused on my drums, but the next morning my voice was shot, and it was great. It's been a long time since I woke up on a Monday morning basically and not been able to speak very well. So it's great for those teleconferences at work.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, glad to have you back on the show. Hopefully we gave your vocal cords a little bit of a rest so that you could talk for at least an hour tonight, Bill.
Yeah, I didn't do the real work. Those capos, wearing masks and trying to sing for 90 minutes. Whew, I have to say I have a measure of respect for them. So that was tough duty yesterday.
Yeah. Well, again, glad to have you back on the show. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll offer up our best and worst from this weekend, brought to you by Fast Sign Central Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati getting behind 2-0 on 2 first-half goals from Inter Miami CF. Raise your hand if you had Breck Shea in the pot or in the pool for this weekend, being the first goal scorer in TQL Stadium history. Coach raises his hand. I don't know if I believe him, but Breck Shea gets on the board 7 minutes in, and then Gonzalo Higuain gets on the score sheet there as well in the second half, and FC Cincinnati finds themselves down 2-0 at halftime. The stat that they repeated many, many, many times during the Fox broadcast with John Strong and Stu Holden was that Cincinnati had lost 35 consecutive matches when going down a goal. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of nothing, Ronald Matarrita finds Alvaro Barreal on a great over-the-top ball to make it 2-1. And then Cincinnati's own Nicky Hags, scores a thundering header there late in the second half. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to rescue a point from this. And then, of course, in true Cincinnati fashion, Gonzalo Higuain again adds to the score sheet, gets the double, ends up winning Player of the Week honors as well. And in the end, FC Cincinnati goes home losers 3-2 to Inter Miami CF. So, gentlemen, let's offer up our best and worst presented by Fast Sign Central Cincinnati. Brad, I'll start with you. Your best and worst.
Sure. Like you just said, FC Cincinnati, I apologize to you, William. You got to come up with a new one now. Sorry, dude. My best, if you lead me off, man, I'm dangerous. My best has got to be that fighting spirit, Soups. It has to be. Like I put it in the notes in the lead up to the show, and I was talking to Brian at the match this week, and I was like, when the heck have we ever come back as an MLS team? We just haven't. And so if I can pick one thing to take a positive, it's that maybe this is a building block. I'm not going to say it is a building block. We'll wait and see. But you know what? Maybe we can look back in a couple weeks or a couple months from now and say, hey, look, that second half was a turning point. The team didn't quit. You still had guys like Matarrita and Barreal and Acosta trying to get creative, trying to create chances and goal scoring opportunities. And, they just didn't back down. And so I think that's a good thing. And, you know what? You got to win a half before you can win a whole match. So I think that's going to be my best.
All right. You got a worst? Hard to pick from, right?
Yeah. I think it's still a lot of the same struggles. While we have seen that fight back I mentioned, our midfield's just still too easily played through. And I know, and we'll discuss it later, Kamahela Makocho wasn't there for some reason. He was a quote-unquote healthy scratch. Don't quite know what that situation is at the moment. I'm sure we'll hear more this week. But it just seems to me like every single time the other team's going towards our goal, you either see our our midfielders trailing the play or not even in the screen period, and that's still discouraging. And I still don't think we're going to see that complete growth and consistency and opportunities and results till we figure that out.
All right, I'm coming to you next, Bill, because Brad stole your best and worst.
Sorry, man.
Your best and worst.
All right, so best, I'll have to punt on this one, but there's enough best there. I can make do.
You can double up. That's I think.
No.
They did was still
it was big, but I'm going to go with a different one just because I have to do that. It's just my nature. I'm going to say Acosta is back, right?
Yes.
So 2 goals, and then he disappears for a couple games, and we score 0 goals, and then he's back, and we score 2 goals. So I think whether or not he actually puts the ball in the net, and whether or not he actually passes the ball to somebody, the threat that he creates up top, the opportunities he creates up top, forces defenders to look at us in a different way and opens up opportunities potentially for others if he's not scoring them himself. And I think we see that he is doing things that no FC Cincinnati player has ever done on the pitch. And he is a breath of fresh air and a welcome addition back to the team as of yesterday. So I was glad to see him back, and obviously it made a difference. So that's my best. For my worst, I think it's probably something we would all agree with, which is the fact that the stadium wasn't at capacity. So, I think this was a great opportunity. I mean, it was just a wonderful event. Obviously it was a brand new opening of the stadium, and it's just really a shame that the world and the pandemic and the situation we're in prevented everyone from coming. It certainly was a lot of fun for us that were there, but at the same time, you looked out and you saw a lot of empty seats, and it just didn't feel quite right, and a little sad in some senses. So even though, I had a great time for those who weren't there, and I know Subs, you were not there as well. I honestly think that the games coming later are going to be more exciting and more fun. And even though this was the first, I think there will be truly a game that is sort of more first, if that makes sense. And that's going to maybe be June 19th when we have full capacity crowd, or depending on how that works out, it could be the Hell is Real that follows behind it in the beginning of July. But those are going to be the games that I'm looking forward to, that I think will truly make this stadium kind of set itself up for the rest of the season. Because I think what we got out of 6,000 people that were in attendance in this game was pretty good. I can only imagine what 26,000 people will sound like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said there. All right, Coach, best and worst?
Man, my best is simply excitement. I mean, I will go to my grave saying that soccer is not about winning. It's about entertainment. None of us are going to show up over and over and over every time to watch a team that wins consistently, but is so terribly boring to watch. Consequently, when you're boring, you don't win all the time. Maybe they were winning championships, but this game was exciting. And we have not been able to say that about a lot of games recently. This game felt lost in the first half, down 2-0, but the team showed some fight. They got back into it. The team created chances. My boy Alvaro Barreal showed up, maybe one of the best players on the pitch. He had, I think, 3 good chances outside of his goal. So created 4 opportunities. So I was excited to see that. For my worst, I think that I am going to go with fitness. It's tough to have both your new starting center backs cramp up and need pulled out of the match late in the game like that. I honestly think if they were able to stay on the pitch, that FCC draws that game. If not, goes on to win it. So I think that fitness, hopefully that's something that'll get there. And hopefully it's not a case where Jeff Cameron is over that hump where he can't go 90 anymore. I don't think that's the case, but I think fitness has got to be it for me for now.
You think Viacia scoring that goal on that header? I think it was destiny that Nick Hagelin scored that goal.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I do think that there were several CST guys who called Nicky Hags with the goal, right? A couple of people said it would probably be an own goal, so glad we avoided that. And it was such a moment of excitement. He scores that goal. He goes into the Bailey, Bailey screaming at him. He's screaming back. It was a really cool moment, one that he'll never forget, one that I think we'll never forget, even though it didn't end up how we all wanted it to. So maybe you're right. Maybe that goal doesn't happen, but I just think that FC Cincinnati really had the game and the momentum going before that goal happens. After that first goal, they had a moment where they almost scored the second right away. And then the game kind of went back into Miami's favor, but then FC Cincinnati was on the front foot again. And I think FC Cincinnati, outside of Miami's third goal, really had the run of play in the last 15 minutes.
We're getting some feedback in the chat room about Bjorn saying it was destiny for Hagelin to mess up immediately after scoring. Now, I'm not gonna fault Nick Hagelin on Harris Medunjanin wasting an opportunity. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking there. Obviously, he was trying to play a 1-2 with Acosta, but you got to keep the ball there, Harris. If Harris doesn't lose the ball there, Hagelin's not put in that position to have to make that choice defensively. So I'm not going to – was it a bad play? Yeah, but I'm not going to fault Nick Hagelin for that third goal entirely, I should say. We got some more coming in. This is from Alex Muddiman on YouTube. He says, best Cameron. He was an absolute field general, held absolute command almost the whole game he was in. Worst, the fitness. So there's that. Sounds like a lot of folks noticing that as well. I'm going to give my best and worst. My best is not going to be FC Cincinnati related, but it is Cincinnati soccer related. If you haven't been paying attention over the weekend, Kings Hammer FC kicked off their USL 2 campaign, first game in club history, and they got a stunner of a goal in the 90th minute from Carson Kendall from High Point. I can't believe Brian's not more pumped about this one. He's from High Point, and he scores a bicycle kick in stoppage time to score the game winner for Kings Hammer FC. So congrats to Paul Nicholson on the win, and congrats to Kings Hammer FC on getting their start off to a good their season off to a good start against Dayton Touch Lions over the weekend with a 2-1 win. And that bicycle kick goal has gone viral. It's hit ESPN today. They were tweeting it out. So kudos to Carson Kendall. Well done. The assist, by the way, coming from man of Moeller, Parker Grinstead. Just had to throw that out there. My worst. It's tough to really pinpoint anything. There's a lot. I guess I was hoping that there would be more excitement and joy about the stadium opening rather than the negativity about folks who couldn't get in. I understand everybody's frustrated and now not everybody could get in, but the club is in a lose-lose situation. Like what are they supposed to do? Right. So for me, I just wish that people wouldn't voice their displeasure. You're certainly more than welcome to. I understand why you're frustrated. Trust me, I couldn't go to the game either. I didn't get tickets. So I just, I don't know. I don't like how some of that's been handled on social media this week. That's just my personal take on that. If you have feedback on that, again, feel free to hit me up. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Let's see. Calvin in the chat says best Hagland, worst Hagland. I mean, okay, Coach, do you want to back me up a little bit here? Maybe a little bit?
Yeah, I think the major breakdown on that play was Harris Medunjanin. Not only does he give the ball away, but then he goes chasing a tackle that he's never going to win. And by chasing that ball after he immediately gives it away, instead of letting Lucho do that and dropping in, he immediately takes himself out of any chance of helping. So when the ball is played in, Hagland actually does the right thing. He tries to foul the guy and just kind of slips and isn't able to get enough of him. So I do think Hagland could have done better, but I think that the majority of the fault, if we were assigning percentage blame here, would fall to Harris Medunjanin.
Yeah. I'm trying to read Pat Doyle on Facebook. Defensive errors happen at all levels. I'm more concerned with what happens after. We consistently concede a goal where other teams have more coverage or a keeper makes a save. So yeah, that wraps up our best and worst. Again, make sure you check out Fast Signs Central Cincinnati. Stop into Fast Signs on Highland Avenue next to Lowe's and Oakley and tell Mike Williams that CST sent you. Give them a follow on the different socials at Fast Signs 352, and we thank them for their support of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Should we dive in a little bit, Brad? I know you've got some thoughts.
Tons of thoughts.
I think you wrote like a 5-page memo to me this afternoon with your thoughts. I'm giving you the floor.
I just remember how, like, after doing this is my first player ratings of the season, man. I remember why I've started giving more of these things to Clay Winstead, man. This is some work. This sucks, man.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing what Coach does every day with talking tactics. I mentioned the attitude change. If I could have picked my other best or worst, I do have to think it's got to center around the new center back pair in Gustavo Vallecilla and Jeff Cameron. I think when they came out for warmups, one of the first things I saw was, I'll tell you what, Vallecilla, he looks the part. I don't know what I was really expecting, but he was a lot bigger, a lot stronger. And boy, after watching him that first half down towards the bailey end, he's got some speed that we've overall really been lacking. And then I saw Alex Muddleman. He was talking about Jeff Cameron as his best. And you know what? I tweeted, it was like Jeff Cameron was playing FIFA. He's pointing to this way and telling his teammates and going that way and get here and do that. And I think it was really nice to have kind of that general that I think FC Cincinnati has been missing on the field. so far this season and even into last. So I think if taking those two guys, yes, them along with Vermeer are new. So, we're going to have some hiccups. They don't, Cameron and Vicey don't speak the same language, and Cameron and Vermeer just got here this week. But I do think that it's a positive. I'm not going to say they're the answer because that's got to be determined, but it gives me a little bit of maybe faith that the back line's heading in the right direction with those two.
Bill, how surprised were you to see Vermeer, Cameron, and Viacia all starting for FC Cincinnati?
Almost not at all. I mean, I think it's been obvious we're having problems in the back. I think, from a center back standpoint, we had two new ones. Haglund and Pedersen were on injury coming into this. So Haglund came off, obviously. But, I mean, we were down to one healthy center back, which was Viacia at one point, according to the medical reports we were getting. And, I think we're to the point where what have we got to lose? I mean, what we had wasn't working. We needed to make some sort of a change. And I think that, it just made sense to give him a try. Vermeer as well. I think TD has certainly been acceptable, but I don't think he's playing the style that Stom wants right now. I think he's playing the ball hard and fast out of the back and doing long balls. And most of the time, he wants to build. Stom wants to build it out of the back, and I think he was going to try somebody new and see if he could get more of his style of play. So, to me, it was kind of like a given that we were going to see those three. So,
what was more surprising, Coach? Those three starting or Kamohelo Makocho not being in the 18?
I think Kamo for sure was more surprising to me. I'm with Bill there that I certainly expected them to change things up a lot with what was available and with how things have been going. I was mildly surprised. I wasn't surprised at all, but I was kind of hoping they wouldn't start Vermeer just because give him some more time to get him with the club, keep that back line a little more stable. But Kamo not even making the 18 was a huge surprise because he's been a mainstay for Stom since he really got in and got his feet under him last year. So the fact that he didn't even make the bench really says something. Now, are we going to find out later that there was a little niggling injury or maybe a personal reason that he wasn't there? Who knows? But as of now, like Brad said earlier, we're left thinking Kamo was just a healthy scratch, which is Stom really sending a message, or was there some other reason? And we just can't know right now. It'll be interesting to find out if we get to find out.
So I saw you on Facebook or Twitter yesterday with Emiliano, and I think you guys are going to talk about it on Talking Tactics. But what's your sense on the midfield? Because while I like Cruz and Kubo going forward, I mentioned earlier, I always feel like, especially when I went back and watched the match today, again, they were always trailing the play. If they weren't creating something defensively, they were always trailing the play. And as the holding midfielders, they need to be disruptive. And in my opinion, they weren't effective in that. Do you disagree? Agree? I wrote on my player ratings today with Kubo. I need you to break it down for me because I just thought he was just fine. I didn't see anything that jumped off the page.
Yeah, I think that the distance between the lines, meaning how far the defensive midfielders were away from the back line, was much better this match than it has been. I think that's continuing to improve. I think with Kubo and Cruz both in there, you have two guys that are not positionally sound. The problem that this team has is Makocho's positionally sound, but the guy's just not very mobile. He can cover half of the field. And so whoever you put with him, if they're not perfectly positionally sound too, that other side of the field is going to be a bit exposed. So you either have a slow guy and your field is still a bit exposed, or you have two guys that are highly mobile, that are pretty quick, that can do some things, and you leave yourself exposed. And I'm not faulting Stom for that choice. I'm faulting, this is more where I put some blame on Gerard Nijkamp and not having a guy that could come in and going out and getting a Makocho that maybe is really great on the ball, but is not really that defensive presence that FC Cincinnati needs right now.
Coach, I think you just made Brad's night.
Hey, demand better.
I was hoping to tell him how wrong he was this whole time. I don't know. I'm swinging and missing already.
Hey, yeah, I'm just going to school. I listen to Talking Tactics every week. I get my little, inverting the pyramid books and all that, trying to read, trying to be more and more like you. The other, because you've bypassed me. You're Brad number one on this podcast now, man.
It's all about the hairline. You got to get rid of that tuft on the top. Got to go full Yop Stom.
So my next door neighbor's son he was the Fox broadcaster, and he literally had the camera on us like all game. And I went back and watched that. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get some shampoo or something. It's really creeping way up there. And for those, I'm talking about my crow lines.
So I think a lot of folks who have been wondering, not to quickly move on, Brad, but
Bill Wolf's just like shaking his head right now, like, oh my
I've
God.
got the hair. I mean, it's all
thick.
here. It's all here, man.
a lot of folks, when they saw the lineup come out yesterday, have been asking the question, what's Alan Cruz got to do to get some run here? And started the match, and right off the bat, I think we saw his energetic presence, Bill.
Yeah.
What did you make of Cruz? And is any part of you wondering where the hell has that been?
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's been coming in late in games, and I think he's been playing out on wings and weird positions. This was definitely much more a position he's comfortable playing. I'm going to say, and I know that Brad 2, or however we want to call you, is not a big fan of the Cruz Kubo pairing in the midfield. I'm not saying that it's our answer, but I have to say, as a fan watching the game, it's certainly there was a lot more energy in the midfield than I've seen in a while. I think Kubo at times for me got lost. In this game, I felt that his presence was much more seen. And then Cruz, he just went in and just put a humongous stamp on the ground. He just knocked people to the ground half the time, but he never backed down. And that's something we haven't seen for a while. Our midfield, I felt, has been a little bit quiet at times. So at least, there was some sort of energy there, and that's important. I think as Coach Brad 1 says, you guys are killing me here. But as Coach Goff says, the energy is there, right? Maybe the position isn't great, but at least we have two people with a lot of energy and the ability to track back. So yeah, there was some errors there. Is that something that we can fix? I think so, and I think that it was fun to see some Cruz pounding going on. I mean, I thought he was going to get a yellow card real early in that game. I don't know how many times the referee came over and said something to him, but
as many cards as the ref handed out to FCC players, I thought for sure he also would have gotten a card. But
yeah, I don't know. He was just
he got one.
Yeah, eventually
he got one at the end. He kind of just pulled on a jersey.
Yeah,
I think
when he didn't need to.
Right. I think my big deal is that if they're going to go forward on the attack, and I think Kubo and Cruz really want to, especially Cruz, he's got to be better with the ball. If he's going to go forward, he's going to make the pass. Like I think early in the match when he took the shot that went wide, he had Calvin Harris on the right side, and it's going to be growth. You know what? This is one of the first times we've seen him play in the 8. He's been asked to play wing. He's been asked to be 10. Yep. Now he's got a 10 there to work off over the Costa. I just want him to be better with the ball. And I think that goes for several guys. I think Joe Zhao, for example, we saw him get up the field and then he dribbles, dispossessed. And these guys just have to work on some patterns of play. Now, again, new team, new players. It's just it's been revolving doors with all these guys, and we'll see what happens. But I just that would be my next thing is if they continue to work on patterns of play and knowing where their teammates are going to be. And you know what? Look up, see the pass, hit the pass. Don't doubt yourself. Take the chance there and hit it, because at least if you're going to turn the ball over, you're going to turn the ball over in the opponent's final third and not at midfield or our half.
Joe Zhao.
I'm going to throw a name. Let me throw a name out though.
Okay.
I was going to say before we lose track of this. Frankie Amaya.
Yep.
Okay. Right. I mean, he was the number 8. He was the 8 that we planned on having. He was a hardworking, never stop, goes into the tackles. Maybe isn't necessarily doing everything right. Did Cruz step in and basically say, I'm going to basically, be that role? I mean, did he actually fill the role that was expected for that 8 that we've been looking for? Since the beginning of the season that we obviously lost in Frankie.
I don't know if we would ever see Frankie leading that counterattack and going one-on-one with the keeper. I don't think would have ever seen that.
So was he better? And Clay Winstead, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I did get a text from Mr. Verde himself, Michael Lahoud, in the middle of the match that said Alan Cruz has to finish that, coach.
Yeah.
I honestly think I'm sort of with Brad on this, not quite. I went back and looked at that. I'm not sure he could have slotted that ball over to Calvin Harris, but the left-footed shot, it's on his weaker foot, not a great angle. I think the better option there was to cut it back. FC Cincinnati had a 4-on-2 at that point, and he had two players trailing. I think Acosta and Brenner, the two goal scorers on the team, the guys you expect to finish. He had trailing that play. If he just left the ball, if he just flicked it backwards, I think that's going to end up with a really good opportunity. I think that's what you get when teams are used to losing. You get that where they start pushing and they start thinking like, if I don't score this now, it might not ever happen. And they try to play outside of themselves. And that's a slow culture change. I hope that he goes back and he sees that film. I hope that they take some positivity out of this match and those things start to happen a little bit less frequently.
A couple players that we have yet to mention from Sunday's match, and I'll let each of you guys kind of chime in. Calvin Harris subbed off at halftime for Jurgen Locadia. Brenner, I think we're still waiting on something from somebody who the club spent a lot of money on. Not entirely his fault, but too many times I see him dropping into the midfield, trying to pick up the ball in the midfield. I mean, at some point, you're the forward. Get up there, make some runs. Maybe I'm crazy, coach, but when I see your forward dropping in to receive the ball, I don't know. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the style that you want to play. I mean, Inter Miami plays a very similar style where you see Higuain drop in a lot. You saw that's what led to the second goal is Higuain dropped way into the midfield, picked up the ball, and he drew a center back out while doing that. The problem is when you do that, you have to have a wing like Lewis Morgan from Inter Miami that's going to be dangerous and create. And we hope that Alvaro Barreal can become that. He was a little bit, Brenner dropping in is what gave Barreal the room to move in and make that run for his first goal. So that's a viable system, but two things need to happen. Number one, you have to be dangerous from the wings. And number two, after Brenner drops in and interchanges and helps that build up, he has got to bust his butt to get into the box for those wingers. And I think that we're not quite seeing yet. And I'm guessing he's probably thinking about every move as he makes it instead of just playing free. And he's a young guy. He's in a new country with a new team. Hopefully that'll start to come where you see those interchanges be much more quick and those transition moments from dropping in to pushing forward become much more quick.
I was going to say I'm not really concerned about Brenner yet. We saw he made some nice movements when he got on the ball. He did hit it into Rosette, but he again, him and Acosta, they're playing off each other. And you got to keep in mind, like Coach just said, new country. His biggest partner has been missing the 2 games. He had to play the 10 last match. So some context. Now, the guy we really haven't mentioned until Coach did a second ago, Alvaro Barreal. I really thought it was an impressive performance, especially going back and watching it during the game live. I didn't notice it as much, but when I watched it again, you really start to see him and Acosta work off each other. And Barreal really liked to cut inside and then make darting runs. And that goal, the guys are like, that came out of nowhere. The commentators, that came out of nowhere. It actually didn't come out of nowhere. They tried that play about 3 or 4 times before, and it almost came off. And finally it did when they scored. Now, I think TQL Stadium at that point had seen that movie before, and they were starting to fall asleep, and then it woke them from our slumber. But, I really like what he did.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, Brad, but obviously not as eloquent or as detailed. But I was going to say that Barreal, for me, this was one of his best games. I mean, we saw a little excitement from him last season when he first came on. And this season and even the preseason, he's been pretty quiet. In fact, I think our wings in general have been quiet. And that kind of goes to what you were saying, Coach, as well, which is, we can have our strikers drop back, but we have to have somebody dangerous up top. And the wings really haven't been that answer. I think Harris and Locadia on the left. Harris has been really quiet. I think we had some higher expectations for him. Obviously, we had great expectations for Locadia last year, and I don't know that the exchange of Locadia for Harris made any improvement at all for us. So I think on the left side, we were kind of vacant. Barriel was exciting. I think he did great. I think it was amusing. He was quite surprised to get subbed off. It was like, me, I've been working my butt off. I scored a goal. Why are you taking me off?
Yeah.
But Atonga needs his chance too. I think he was a little quiet. I hope we can see a little more out of him.
Quiet's kind.
Can I back up to Calvin Harris real quick?
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, they're very quiet on that side of the field. It was kind of a little bit of a surprise that he came off. I don't think that he came off at half. Jobstam subbed him off. I don't think he wasn't great going forward, but we've seen him, especially in preseason, we've seen him get into he's made some opportunities, he scored some goals. There are a couple of dangerous runs that he made that just he didn't get fed the ball. But I really do hope that the coaching staff and they review that film with him. I think one of the biggest reasons why he was subbed off is that, to me, it didn't look like he tracked back enough on defense. In that the Higuain's first goal in the 38th minute, for example, somebody are like, oh, they're going up Matarrita's side. Well, on that play, Matarrita, and coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but Matarrita, he had to encounter the guy with the ball, and then he had to kind of chase him up into midfield. And from what
on the right side of the pitch, basically, everybody even said it. Stu Holden said it. He had to do that, and Holden was he was all over Viacia for missing that tackle, and that's a fair point. But to me, it didn't look like Calvin Harris tracked back at all. It just kind of looked like he was moseying back on defense. And when both Higuain brothers are able to have acres of space on that side of the box, and you have no midfield cover there, no wonder they scored that goal. Now, I would have loved to have seen Viacia make that tackle, and you know what? He's not the first guy, and he won't be the last guy that Higuain's put on ice skates in Higuain's career. But I do think if he's going to play and he's going to get minutes, he needs to put in that defensive effort. Go ahead,
Jeff
Coach.
Cameron,
you want to respond?
Jeff Cameron, right after Viacia got roasted, had the exact same thing happen to him. He over-pursued Higuain, only Cameron didn't even get a toe on the ball. So it didn't look as ugly. It actually was a little bit uglier. But that goal was a comedy of errors. And I'm going to break it down more fully on Talking Tactics. But I think the biggest thing that worries me about that is if you go back and watch that play, both outside backs are deeper on the pitch by about 10 yards than the center backs. And what happened was Matarrita continued to track Lewis Morgan's run from the FCC left all the way to the FCC right. Whereas if he just stops running, Lewis Morgan's running offside because Matarrita is the deepest player on the pitch there. So once that ball goes into Morgan onside, now everybody's facing their own goal, trying to backtrack and get in position. And then things just go, downhill from there. But in terms of Harris, Harris was on a yellow. And Harris was fine. I don't think he got pulled because he was way underperforming. Maybe there was some track back issues. But in my mind, if you are a coach in this current iteration of MLS, when you have 5 subs, but only 3 sub windows, not counting halftime, making a sub on the wing on a position of high energy, getting up down the pitch at halftime is almost like would be the default for me. Unless both wings are just being outstanding, I'm making a sub on one of the wing positions every match, especially when you have guys on the bench like Jurgen Locadia, who you have high hopes for. Now, though, when we look at Locadia, man, I think there was a play that sums him up perfectly where he got isolated on the left against a center back, and he had plenty of space. He could have done anything that he wanted, and he tries to go at the center back, and the center back just sticks his leg out and pokes it away and goes the other way. And it's like, if you're a DP, if you're even just a TAM player, you got to at least be able to draw a foul or get a cross off, earn a throw in, something. You can't get stuck so easily. And so maybe the choice of who subbed on is an issue, but subbing Harris at halftime, I think, is smart play from coaches in this MLS.
That's fair.
I can buy that, but no, when Locadia had that dummy to nobody, and it just went straight. I'm like,
that's what I was thinking.
Send his ass home. Just get rid of him. I'm done. I've seen enough.
We saw the tweet. I looked at the timestamp. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right around the time that happened. Yes.
But let's talk for a second about Isaac Atanga, because he's a guy who we expect to be able to be on that list of maybe coming in instead of Locadia. But when he came in, he provided no width to the team. He moved 15 or 20 yards infield and stood around. He made almost no runs in behind like Barrial was doing. We were just talking about how they tried that play several times. The Miami center backs, Ryan Shawcross, They're slow. That was wide open. He's probably the fastest guy on the pitch at that point. There was a point where Harris Medunian picks up the ball, has time and space, and looks up and starts waving at Atanga like, go, man. I want to play you. And Atanga's standing there facing the ball, not moving. Atanga, if he does not do something the next time he's on the pitch, I'm about ready to wash my hands of him because I was really frustrated by his play.
Wow. Interesting.
Duck and cover.
Just got here. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take that lightly. I just when it seems I don't put this on guys often, but it seems like a lack of even desire to try something. You know, I don't want to say effort, but he wasn't making the wrong play. He wasn't making any plays. It's like he got out there and he was just like stood around and thought, if nobody's passing me the ball, then I'm not moving. And that's just frustrating to me. At least if you're running, you're going to be moving defenders around. Even if you're not making a good run, you move the defense, which maybe opens up a better run.
Yeah, I'm just frustrated with the fact that we started off the season wondering why the heck we had 7,000 wings. And now we're talking about why we don't have any depth on the wings, basically.
I could put Kubo up there.
I was just about to say Kubo probably should be playing there. Too soon? No? Okay. Again, if you have feedback or thoughts on this, hit us up, feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Let us know what your thoughts were from the match. Of course, I know I already got an email tonight with somebody's best and worst, so don't hesitate. Hit us up, feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. All right, it's that time of the show where we give a big shout out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. So let's give it up to Tim Bronsel and Tom Rose, Matt Adamchick, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Colin, Sarah Mullins, Riley, Stephen Burke, and Melissa Bingle. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. This portion of CST is brought to you by Reinhaus. Reinhaus is Over the Rhine's original sports bar and the city's best soccer bar. They have 15 TVs ready to show you pretty much any match you're looking for. As an official FC Cincinnati pub partner, Reinhaus is always a great place to be for home and away matches. They're just a short 15-minute march to TQL Stadium, which makes them a perfect spot for your pre- and post-game beverage needs. Recently voted best draft beer selection in the city, you will always be able to find something delicious to help calm your nerves before the match and the cheers to victory, hopefully after the match. Make Reinhaus your Rhine home for FCC game days and follow them on Twitter at ReinhausOTR. Well, we are really excited and thrilled to have owner of Fulcrum Fives, Mark Zeman, joining us now. Mark, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. This is a first for me. I've never been on a podcast, so this is exciting.
Well, we're glad to have you. And again, we can't thank you enough for your support of the show over the last couple of weeks. Five-a-side soccer. I'll be the first to raise my hand and admit I'm not completely familiar with what that is. So for folks who are hearing about this side of soccer for the first time over the last few weeks, why don't you fill us in? What is five-a-side soccer?
Yeah, so it really is just as it sounds. It's instead of an 11v11 traditional game, it's 5v5. So that's 4 field players and a goalie. And I would say the biggest difference between five-a-side soccer and traditional soccer is the size of the space you're playing on, so the field. So for those that are watching, I have the field behind me, but for those that are listening, the size of a five-a-side soccer field is a little bit bigger than a basketball court. So with that, it's just a very tight space and a tight game. So you just have a lot more touches, a lot more action. You don't really even have time to blink. But the fundamentals of the game are still the same. You're using your feet to pass, dribble, shoot, and score more than your opponents. Although, frankly, instead of a 2-1 score line, it'll probably be more like 11-9. But it just sort of, it inspires more creativity. You burn energy a lot quicker because you're doing quick turns. So you actually, after about 1 or 2 minutes, you'll be asking for a sub right away. I mean, it's fast paced.
So what you're saying is that in your typical matches, you scored just as many goals as FC Cincinnati did in 2020.
I suppose it could be true. Although I think this year's looking a little bit better. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess so.
Well, it's the hope that kills you, man. So I know you got a really cool story
Yeah.
about how you ended up in town and why you chose Cincinnati. So tell us why Cincinnati and what kind of part has FC Cincinnati played in that?
Yeah, so I would say FC Cincinnati has played an integral part. I think back in 2016, my wife and I actually know a wedding photographer we were very close friends with. She was friends with him before we met. We actually got our engagement photos in Marymount, of all places. We're a Chicago couple, so we grew up in the outskirts of Chicago in the suburbs. But we went to an FCC game in 2016 when they were playing at the football stadium at the university. And I've been to a few USL games, so I didn't, know what to expect. But what I saw was, it kind of blew me out of the water. I think we went to a bar beforehand, and there were people marching to the stadium and lighting off smoke bombs and chanting. And I was like, this is a borderline Premier League atmosphere. Like, this is crazy, and I'm coming as from Chicago, the MLS atmosphere there, it didn't even compare. So back in 2016, I would say that's when the seed was planted. And it was just, I really just couldn't believe my eyes. And the stadium was sold out, a football stadium, no less. And, it's building a soccer facility has always been a dream of mine. And, originally we were going to do it in Chicago, but in the back of our minds, we always knew Cincinnati was an option. And once we really started exploring that, it was perfect. And we're starting a family ourselves. So,
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. We got a 1-year-old and one more on the way due in October. So.
Oh, you are going to be busy.
Man-to-man defense now.
Yeah, seriously. So, but once we've been to Cincinnati 2 or 3 times a year since then. And, we've slowly fell in love with it. And I think it's a great, great place for a concept like this. And so far the community has been very supportive, and it doesn't surprise me.
We're hanging out with Mark Zeman, owner of Fulcrum Fives there in Blue Ash, talking about five-a-side soccer. So you're a season ticket holder with FC Cincinnati now. You've got some experience playing soccer as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch FC Cincinnati play, can you put your finger on what's going on? What would you do to fix this team right now?
I watched the game. I've watched all the games so far, but I paid close attention yesterday. Aside from, we were at Mad Tree, and my son just learned to walk, so we were sort of making sure he didn't walk into someone. But I would say I was really impressed with the number 11 up front. I think is that Acosta.
Yep.
So I think him being involved is key. But I honestly have been impressed with how they've progressed thus far. I think if you look at each game, they've improved a little bit. So you kind of just got to let them gel. It does take time. But I will say, once they tied it up, that took a lot of effort and grit. And once they did that, I think they sort of fell victim to, at least when my experience, you're most vulnerable once you score a goal. So especially that second goal and what it meant to that team and that player, and in particular, just the complete adrenaline dump that happens when you score a big goal like that, you tend to switch off. And I bet you, if that same play happens and they don't score that big goal, I bet you they clean that chance up, no problem. I'm talking about Miami's third goal. That's sort of my take on it, and what I've always seen. I've seen it happen so many times. If you look at the stats, when a team scores and then the other team scores right after that, it happens all the time, especially in the last 15 minutes. But I would just let them, I think they're progressing in a positive direction, not negative. So until it goes the other way, I think they continue to do what they're trying to do.
Well, Mark, if you keep that analysis up, this might not be your last appearance on CST.
I was just about
That's
to
pretty
say.
good.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I'm just basically taking what coaches have drilled into my brain for the past 20 years and, applying it to what I see. But who knows? Honestly, that could just be an excuse, but
Mark, I think the answer you're looking for is they need to get playing 5-a-side, because if they need to work on those quick interchanges in and around the box, really get their touch and their communication down, get the team playing 5-a-side together so that they can work on those passing patterns in the final third and put up some of those 11 goal games and then head into the 11-a-side and they'll know what they're doing, right?
yeah, I think that's really the solution when you look at it very closely. They just got to come here, It's simple.
I don't know if FC Cincinnati will be coming by using your facility anytime soon. But what about all the soccer fans and potential soccer players listening to this podcast? How can they get involved? How can they show up at your facility and play?
Yeah. So our primary target market are really young kids that are probably 2 to 10 years old that are just getting into the game. So there are a handful of programs that'll be in here. For example, if they have kids that want to play, we have a free class hosted by Cincinnati Soccer Shots this Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. And if you're a recreational casual player, we have leagues starting in June. We have one on Sunday, one on Monday, and then one on Wednesday evenings. And then we'll also host pickup games. And if you're interested, we're basically gathering a pool of players now. We actually have an FCC supporters group that plays every Thursday at 7:30, and they're always looking for new players, and they're a very welcoming bunch. And I think Jared Hondra, who was on your show last week, he's the one that reached out to me right away. So they play every Thursday. So if you want to play a pickup and you just want to get a taste of it, email me at soccer@fulcrumfives.com and we'll get you in a game, because there's a few more like that as well. So the short answer is there are pickup games and league play if you're an adult just looking to maybe get back into it or get more touches on the ball if you play frequently, either or.
I know you got a lot of big plans. Have you had the official grand opening? I know it's been tough with COVID and all the different restrictions. I'm sure now with the governor kind of making those a little bit more relaxed. Have you had a chance to have a grand opening? Do you plan to have a grand opening? And I know there's more to Fulcrum Fives than just that beautiful soccer pitch behind you. So tell folks about what else you got going on outside the pitch there.
Yeah, so we have not had our quote unquote cut the red ribbon and open. That'll be likely in June. So we are going to do something for that. We haven't done it yet, but we are open to the public. So we are hosting games. We are going to start hosting leagues very soon. We've had dozens of youth teams in here. But your point, we do have a bar. So we're primarily partnering with local vendors. So right now we have Proud Hound Coffee. So primarily for parents that are kind of waiting along the sidelines, we've really built this facility for them just as much for the players as well and spectators. So we'll have it, as you might be able to see in the background, I got a MLS game streaming. So one of the thoughts for this facility as well is to have that beverage offering. So once people play a game, you can stay, you can have a beer, you can have a wine.
Sold.
Yeah, that's perfect. So right now we have Fretboard, Mad Tree, and Reingeist, and there'll be more. One thing I've learned about Cincinnati is that the local brewery scene is a must.
Well, just make sure you have plenty of Capri Suns for Subs.
Capri Suns, okay.
Dude polishes them off.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Sounds like we might need to get a little CST sponsored 5-a-side adult tournament or something, I will totally not play because I don't want to embarrass the rep, but maybe I'll let coach down there play, or I guess coach is down here on the screen. But
I'll coach you guys. I'll make sure you guys get in the right position. Just tell you what you're doing wrong.
We just can't put Jeff in that.
I don't think you got enough coaching ability for me, brother.
Yeah, I think I could probably.
He'll play the music.
Yeah,
You'll be the drummer.
exactly. Or 30 seconds and sub. So,
Oh, that's why I'm goalie, man.
yeah.
So again, if folks want to learn more about what you're up to, where can they find you, Mark?
Yeah, so on I guess the stereotypical socials like Facebook and Instagram, it's at Fulcrum Fives. And then you can find us at our website, www.fulcrumfives.com. And we'll be posting, updates probably like once every week or once every 2 weeks on Instagram to kind of tell a story more like who we're partnering with and what sort of things we're offering. And then on Facebook, we might have some of the more of the promotional offerings, like when you can sign up for a league and how much that costs and whatnot. But primarily the website and Facebook and Instagram, you can find everything you need to know.
And more importantly, if you are looking to register your squad, use promo code Soccer Talk to get 10% off your first league fee there at Fulcrum Fives. And if you I think Brad's onto something. I think we definitely need to organize some sort of five-a-side tournament, either if it's amongst the supporters groups or just in general. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And once everything kind of calms down COVID-wise, I think we're looking forward to getting down there and even doing a live show from your facility. So we're really pumped for it. And congrats on the new facility. And we're definitely looking forward to hanging out a bunch more, Mark.
Yeah, no, thank you very much again for having me and reaching out to me a few weeks ago. Every eyeball you get on our facility, it really helps us out, especially as a new business. So again, a personal thank you. And we'd love to host a live show. And I think it would be a big hit.
Awesome. Well, Mark, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you again soon.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
That's Mark Zeman from Fulcrum Fives joining us here tonight on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Again, we are very proud to have partnered with them over the last few weeks here on the show. And again, if you're interested in five-a-side soccer, go to fulcrumfives.com and use promo code Soccer Talk on your league registration fee to get 10% off. All right. So before we wrap up, I know we talked a lot about the actual match tonight, and I don't want to go too long into this, but we do need to discuss it, gents. The TQL Stadium. Brad, I'm pretty sure that was your first time there.
100%.
Just give me your thoughts overall as being there for the first time and what it was like.
Oh man. So to be honest, while I've done this show for 6 years, the extent of my travel to watch soccer games is very minimal. Outside of like pretty much Louisville and in Columbus, that's it. So
Columbus
I really
SC Stadium.
Yeah, oh, that's brutal.
Accurate.
Dave the Crew. No, did I do that right? They should have moved. They could have felt that new place anyways. Stop. God, I don't know. I didn't really have expectations. I've driven past the stadium a couple times. Honestly, I tried to stay away from it as much as I could till I got the finished product. And it really blew me away. Like, the outside and all that, I think there's still some work to be done and still some fine tuning, but like getting actually through the concourses and then down into the seats. I mean, it's huge. It's massive. And I didn't know what I was expecting, but golly, that place was enormous, and it has to be intimidating, especially when we pack that place for opponents. I mean, if the U.S. men's national team and the women's national teams don't make Cincinnati their home or one of their frequent homes, I don't know what we're doing, because it is so loud. Like 6,000 people. When I rewatched that game, Heglin's goal, I mean, it was coming through my screen. When I was there, it was crazy. Now multiply that times 3.5. It's going to be nuts. So Jeff Birding last week was on the show, and he didn't do it justice. I mean, they nailed it to the T, and I'm not just blowing smoke up them. It was unbelievable. We did not have an ideal seat for what I would have thought. And I could see the whole game. I could see the development of the play on the field. We were close. I mean, like when the other team had corner kicks, we were going nuts at them. I was with the old man ultras. It was a blast. They just did this thing so right, and I cannot wait to like take my family there, future kids if it ever happens, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, moms, dads, whatever. And I think it's going to be an unbelievable situation. And when it happens, whether it's going to be late June or July, post-COVID, for my money, it's got to be top 20 in the world. And it's unbelievable.
Bill, how'd everything go pregame? Did everything go off without a hitch? I know there's a lot of new things, a lot of new traditions that everybody needed to establish over the weekend. But
I would say nothing went without a hitch. But at the same time, it all went great. So, I mean, in the end, we knew what we needed to do, and we got that done. And I think from a supporter standpoint, we all drank a lot of beer, and we all marched to the stadium, and we had a blast. And I have said this to a few people, and maybe I'm full of myself, but I truly believe that, if this game had been played in Miami, we would have lost 0-3. I think that our team has suffered too many losses. They get down pretty easy. And I think that stadium and that crowd and that noise prevented them from being able to shut down and give up. And I think we lifted them up, and I think they started to believe in themselves, and we saw that happen. And I'd like to think that we can be that 12th man every single game that we're at home. And I think this is going to be a fortress that teams are not going to want to come to.
Like, I don't think Coach or Soups were there, were you?
I was not there.
You were there, Coach.
Yeah.
Where were you sitting?
I was up high in the corner. I get the highest seat possible so I can see as much of the play as I can.
Coach, my grandpa always said you never get rich by spending too much money.
I mean, the money, sure, whatever. But honestly, I just prefer to be able to see the whole thing. If I could sit up in the press box higher, those guys that were on the ceiling, that were on the roof that we heard, I'd take that. Yeah.
But you could sit in the press box, right? We have the ability to sit in the press box.
We had Jacob Clary up there, but no, there were people on the roof.
Yeah.
Walking. It was unbelievable. But go ahead, Coach.
No, I mean, like, a lot has been said about the stadium, and it is phenomenal. But I just think the entire environment, the fact that this thing is in the West End, that you have like Finley Market right there, that march to the stadium, all of the local establishments. I just think it is it's a hallmark for that whole community. And I think that it is really a wonderful thing inside the stadium. The details, like, I love the little markets, the little bodegas where you go in and grab your own drinks and go through and just like scan your phone and keep walking. Everything was quick, and granted, it wasn't as full as it would be. But also, all those things are just going to get better, and people are going to understand how it works more, and it's going to go more smoothly. So I just can't say enough. The stadium, yeah, obviously it's great, but even all the little details, the environment, everything was just really cool.
One of my favorite parts about the whole match was like in the Bailey, that sucker is loud. With I swear they must have studied the acoustics. I knew they had to pay music hall, so they didn't make enough noise or whatnot. But like when you guys took them poles and went bop bop bop, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was so loud, and I just it's really first class. And I'm not just saying that because if I would imagine what one of the best places in the world would be for a soccer game, it would literally have been TQL Stadium to a T.
I only have one experience at a soccer specific stadium in my life, and that was Crew Stadium. And
you went to Pittsburgh?
Okay.
Can't let you go, man.
I mean, you're right, but I mean, on a bigger scale than that. Wow. You totally, yeah, you got me there, Brad. You got me. But for I from all the pictures I saw, just watching it on the game, just the camera sight lines, just watching the game on Fox, so much more improved than watching the game at Nippert. So from that aspect, way better. Very happy about that. But yeah, I cannot wait to get down there and see a match in person. I cannot wait to be a part of the march and see the, I'll be honest. I don't get down to Over the Rhine very often. I don't get down to the West End very often, even when I am in Cincinnati for brief periods of time. So for me, it's going to be about experiencing those regions of town, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm glad that I know people are still bummed. I know Jeff was on the show last week, Jeff Burning. You could hear it in his voice. He was bummed. So it's going to happen, right? We're looking at what, June 19th, you said, Bill, that we should have full capacity at TQL Stadium, and fully expect that place to be rocking that day as well.
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable.
What day of the week is that? Is that a Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
All right. Well, then I might be able to make it.
Saturday. Yep. I'm going out. I'm gonna miss that one, but
what?
No, yeah, Las Vegas calling you, baby. It's from a commercial.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Just don't miss Hell's Real.
I won't. Damn.
It's a weeknight.
He'll be golfing or something.
To be honest, I have yet to see an official FC Cincinnati versus Columbus match in Major League Soccer in person. Now, doesn't quite count because last
Wait a
year,
minute. You didn't go to Crew Stadium?
Nope. Did not go to Crew Stadium. The only match I've been with Crew and FC Cincinnati was
Open Cup.
Open Cup.
Really?
But yep. It's a true story, man. I told you, I was shocked that I made the home opener. Like, I missed the USL home opener.
I know.
Like, I miss all the big games. I miss Crystal Palace, whatever. But I cannot wait. Like, did you guys get to go to like Washington Park or any of that stuff? It was unbelievable. Like, I cannot wait till actually get everybody there. Like, we're just gonna overwhelm that place. Everybody's gonna benefit. All the neighborhood. When we were walking on the march up to Findlay Market and then down, you just saw everybody out of the neighborhood coming out. And again, I just think that this club is one of the biggest unifiers ever in the history of Cincinnati. Everybody comes out for it. Everybody loves it. We are going to be doing so much. It's only going to get bigger and better. And now I'm getting a fan. I always bust Brian's butt for being a big fan on these shows, but I really, they are going to figure the soccer part out, and we're starting to see portions of it. Coach tells me so I believe it.
How was the parking?
Oh, you don't even hear about that because I was right underneath the stadium. It took me 3 minutes to get in and get out, but I don't want to tell you about that. But seriously though, like if I'm being realistic right now with FC Cincinnati, what we're sitting on a point. At best case scenario, I thought we'd be at 4 right now. Okay, we've had injuries. We're getting reinforcements in. I think that the TQL Stadium is going to be a bigger equalizer than we think. I'm not horribly down on the club. I'm down on the job the general manager's done in preventing us from getting to where I think we could be as a top 5 spending club in the league. But I think that there are a lot of brighter days this year, and it's going to happen. And if we can get some of these signings to actually work out, come to fruition, Atanga, Makocho, Zhao turns into a quality right back, which I think he's got the skill set to do, we could make a run.
Okay.
And I'm demanding better, damn it.
I like it. Coach, I'd let you respond, but I want you to save it for your show this week, Talking Tactics. Tell folks what you got in store this week. Emilio coming back. I love listening to that guy talk.
Yeah, Emilio Martinez, who not only coaches in the second division of the Norway league up there, he's also the analytics guy for the first team of his club, Barum SK. So one of his jobs is to watch all the film and to dissect what's going wrong and what's going right with the team. So he's going to come on again. We've already been talking, and he said that he's seen a lot of positives. So I'm excited to get on there. We're going to pick and we're going to dissect, but we're also going to talk about the progress that we've seen between the Orlando match and this match and where we expect it to go from here. So I'm excited about that.
All right. So make sure you check out Talking Tactics with Coach Goff coming out a little bit later on this week. Let's do some Apple Podcast reviews, shall we? I'm telling you, this is becoming the highlight of my week. The creativity that our listeners have shown is just absolutely remarkable. Last week, does anybody remember what we told our listeners to write reviews about?
Anything
Bashing
about how we're better
Columbus.
than Crew.
All
No,
I'm already
Columbus.
prepared for this weekend.
Columbus.
I'm ready for
Columbus.
this one.
Who's
right.
the Crew? Who's
This
the Crew?
one is from Lexington 1. He says, all right. See what I did there? I was watching the suburb up north play soccer, and I saw Wooderson telling me to come see them in Texas. The confusing thing was they were showing clips of the team, but the colors were verde. Aren't their colors black and gold? Or is this the reboot everyone hates, so they are burning their tickets? Their stadium looks like the Ohio State football spring practice facility, but their seats are verde. Does their river burn too? I have so many questions. Luckily, CST's podcast makes sense of all of it, except when Beckham Sunderland starts at the 8. Save the reboot. Never mind, I hate the new CSO. I quit. So that was from Lexington 1. Thank you very much for that.
I mean, that brought in Texas. That brought in Columbus. It brought in Cleveland.
Yeah.
The Ohio State University Stadium for the spring game still holds about 70,000, so it's going to be way better than Austin. I'm going to take a little offense to that, but it's a good job.
All right, this next one. I can't believe I'm actually saying this name on the show, but I'm going to. It's from Stevie Turdball. Rebranding. Want a soccer podcast you can listen to for hours on end? Well, look no further. Cincinnati Soccer Talk has what you're looking for. Talking about soccer? Check. Talking about FC Cincinnati? Check. Rebranding their logo anytime soon like Columbus SC. Not anytime soon, I hope. They answer fan questions and are very entertaining. Give them a listen. Stevie Turdball. Thanks for the review, buddy. Appreciate that.
When he said podcast you talk about for hours, I thought he was talking about talking tactics. So,
I've only gone over an hour a couple times this year. I've had a few shows though.
An hour is still not as long as Boston's prequel or introduction on March to Match Day.
What do you got in store for us this week on March to Match? Oh, man, I can't even talk. March to Match Day.
Match Day. We got the ball is round from Montreal. I had to remember who we had this week. Yeah, it'll be a good time. Victor Wanyama is on Montreal, and I'm really interested to see as a fellow Spurs supporter as coach. I'm interested to see how he's doing and just get a little breakdown of Montreal.
So check that out. That'll be in the CST feed a little bit later on this week. Boston and Brad do a great job hosting that show as well.
Can we talk about what the task is for this week? For the
Apple reviews?
Yes. I want to hear your best explanation of Coach Brad Goff breaking down the matches. I want to see two things this week. If you want to win a shirt, you need 2 reviews. I need to see a Talking Tactics review, and I need to see a Cincy Soccer Talk review. So I want to show me what you got for Brad Goff. Give me your best, bald head haircut compliment, and let's see it for Coach this week on Talking Tactics. Because is there seriously, is there a better, more informative soccer podcast on tactics in this country? Quick answer, no. It's really not. And with the best part about FC Cincinnati, it's the gift that keeps on giving, guys. There's always something new. If we haven't learned this past year, always something new every week. Lucha's back. We're gonna be great. Oh, Makocho's gone. So Coach is gonna be here to break it all down. I want to see 2 reviews, Talking Tactics and CST.
But
about how the bald haircut is the best haircut. Because guess what? Is Rod would say, I'm becoming a ball denier pretty quickly.
I love the energy, but if you're going to leave 2 reviews, you also have to email us and show us proof that you're leaving those reviews so that we can send you a shirt. We want to send you a CST shirt. We want you wearing Demand Better. We saw a couple of those. I saw some pictures this weekend of folks wearing the Demand Better shirt. So again, if you want a shirt and help us out, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/shop. Use promo code podcast to get 10% off your order. And of course, leave us an Apple Podcast review for both Talking Tactics and Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We've gone
and Subs. If you didn't follow all that, you can also just leave a review with a nickname for Brad, so we don't have to keep calling him Brad number 2.
Brad and Bradder, according to Jeff Kevitz.
See, I was gonna say do a Apple review how Brad's better than Brian, but I chose to defer to you, big guy. I'm a big fan.
Appreciate it.
And on
Bill,
that,
Bill Wolf's over there like,
go ahead, Bill.
No, I was gonna say, speaking of shirts, I feel like we're doing like one of these like Sesame Street things where like one of these things don't look like the others, So, oops, over there.
What?
Logos, logos. Oh,
Yeah, and Coach doesn't have one.
I know.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
That's all right. We'll let it slide. He had a rough night.
Yeah,
He had a rough night. It was the last
He's moving
minute.
too, guys.
He is
He's
moving
moving
too.
too.
Yeah.
So we make accommodations for our star player.
A little disappointed we didn't
Okay,
get
we
the
can do
cat
it.
in shot tonight.
Oh yeah.
Angry devil
Well,
cat, right?
To be honest, my cat came running in during the middle of the show, and I had to chase it
666,
off.
man. Watch out.
Yeah, I was right in the middle of a monologue, and my son came in chasing the cat out. So
Nice.
Ah,
All right.
Wes's boys are in the College Cup right now. It should be finishing up.
yeah,
How's IU? Is IU versus Marshall? We'll see.
they're kicking butt.
Who
Yeah.
is?
IU.
Are they?
Cincinnati boy Maloon has been playing. Maloon Gambali,
Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
who's a King's Hammer product. Went up to Crew Academy and then went to IU. So
Interesting. All right. We're getting reports in the chat that it is becoming the Crew again.
oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah, it
Oh,
doesn't
so-
matter. They'll still have 6,000 fans.
On that note, we got to get out of here.
Yeah,
It's getting late.
It's been that way. It's been that way for 20 years.
It's getting late. Coach, final thoughts.
Yeah, so I need to remind everyone what Brad Weigel said on the show before the first match. And he said, I'm going to have to remind myself when I'm going crazy and screaming at the TV and getting so angry that this is going to be a process of improvement. This team is basically brand new. This is the first time the coach has had to really put anything into play because last season he was just trying to keep up, coming in the middle of a pandemic. If you take this match and you forget about the past 2 years, if you just look at this match compared to the last match, there are steps moving forward. So do not lose the hope. Soccer is a privilege. Don't forget to smile.
Well said. Good stuff, Coach. Appreciate you being on, buddy.
So happy to do it.
Brad Weigel, final thoughts.
Did I not meet my word quota? No, man. Apparently, we saved the Crew again. So that's here to stay. 2 for 2. Amazing amount of work we can do in one night. Oh, man. I can demand better of the front office, but I do think that the coaching staff, there was some progress made this week. I am liking what we're seeing out of at least 3 of the 4 in the back line with Joe Zhao. I think he's going to improve because you know what? That's going to be my final comment about Joe Zhao. I really like Joe Zhao. He's got the complete skill set to be an awesome right back in Major League Soccer. Give him a little bit of a break. He's literally had 3 different goalkeepers this year. He's had several center back pairings. He's had different central defensive midfielders, wingers. This guy is trying to learn a new position, and they're making it about as hard as you can for him. You're just changing his cues, the voices he's got to hear to make these decisions. And then you know what? Breck Shea, he's like 6'9.5", playing winger. He's a left back. He had to face him this week. I think Joe Zhao is going to be all right. And his coach almost just said, he didn't quite say it, but he said, trust the process. Inadvertently, he said, trust the process, Alan. I think Joe Zhao is going to be all right. And I think come the end of this year, and especially into next year, it's going to be a nice little piece of the team. And you know what? I guess it's not Koch watch anymore. It's a Stom watch. We can wait and see.
All right, Brad. Appreciate you being on, as always.
Hey, man. You know what? When I understand how you work, Subs. So if Brian listens to this show, he needs to hear this. When you have a big guest like Jeff Birding, you bring Brian on. It's okay. Jeff can carry the show. But when you need real input, real, commentary, we see who you bring on.
I love you, Brad. You're the best, bud. All right. And we love you too, Brian. Believe me, we do. Final thoughts from the Wolf Man. Bill Wolf. What do you got for us, Bill?
Man, I got to follow all that.
I hit my word. I hit my word count. It's like
you can
10th
stop
grade
too.
English.
Clay clock. Smash
You're
that
already
button.
there. It's like exactly mute him.
Boom.
Anyway, so my thoughts. This game yesterday, this event yesterday, the pregame, the postgame, the game. It was obviously a spectacle. It was something that we can pick apart on every level. If you're a supporter, you could probably name 100 things that went wrong from the march and parking and whatever other thing that went wrong in the stadium. And then of course we didn't win the game. But in the end, for me, and I think this is the piece we have to just truly remember. I had fun. I mean, that was the most entertaining soccer that I have watched out of this club for a while. The actual event itself being that we were finally live again and able to go to the stadium and see friends and people we haven't seen for a long time and hug and scream and get excited when good things happen and boo at the referee when bad things happen. That is something that I have not experienced for a long time. And in the end, I'm paying money to be entertained, and I had fun, and that was well worth every dollar I spent.
Well said, Billiam. And as always, we appreciate you. Go rest that voice up because I can tell it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take some Ricola or something.
Yeah. My final thoughts. Again, I'm glad to see everybody had a lot of fun this weekend. I'm glad to see, the fact that the FC Cincinnati showed some fighting spirit, down 2-0. Again, never have they come back from a 2-0 deficit in Major League Soccer. So that was refreshing. They got to hold on a little bit, but baby steps. Stadium, great. Okay. That part's done with. Now you move on. Where does this club go from here? And they've got to build on that, continue to build on that. So
Got more winning to do.
Yep. Don't forget, coming up on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, I'll be joined by Pat Brennan from the Cincinnati Enquirer, Laurel Failer from QueenCityPress.net, and Tyler Snipes from SBI Soccer. We'll be doing Twitter Spaces. So if you follow us on Twitter, join us coming up at 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. We'll recap the match and look ahead to Montreal CF. That is going to do it for this episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk presented by Fulcrum Fives. Again, if you're interested in getting started in five-a-side soccer, go to fulcrumfives.com and use promo code SoccerTalk to get 10% off your league fees, your first league fees over at Fulcrum Fives. So for the Wolfmen, Bill Wolf, Brad Weigel, and Brad Goff, I'm Subs reminding you to watch your tackles, CSTers. We'll see you all next week.